light, greater light. I didn't let my intro go on and on. Who knows how much time my grand sunshine is going to give me, huh? I came in to drop through real quick, real quick. Um, you see my fro bouncing? For those who think I just be saying Moore's head like I'm trying to claim I'm a Moor or something like that, I don't like titles. This image was truly brought to you by Moorhead Imaging out of North Carolina. It's truly a imaging center called Moorhead Imaging. So you could take it and I'm just, trying to like, if I wouldn't take on a title like a Hot Sea or Nuapu, like I literally do not have titles except for the name my mama gave me that was expanded in so many different languages and throughout the Bible and stuff. But more, I could be saying, I want more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Or I could literally be saying, my head and skull and body and frame of light was collected by Moorhead Imaging by the charlatans. Okay. All right. All right. All right. That's not important because it's not about me, right? It's not about me at all. Only person making it about me is me. I want to talk to you about uh, what do you think I should wear when I step foot for the first time ever in a Jewish synagogue? I could be doing this because it's already written. Uh, if people want to hang their head in shame and don't know that prophecy and revelation is coming forth as we speak. And you all are part of the living word, and you all are part of revelation, and that means you're a part of the prophecy, right? If we're living in revelation, you're part of the prophecy. No ifs, ands, or but about it. Do you believe that we're in revelation? We're living revelation right now. No, you don't. Okay. Look, I just wanted to come and say Modi, I don't know if he's left the United States yet. I haven't checked that. I've been trying to stay out of the media because I want to make sure that I have a humble heart when I walk into the temple on Sabbath. I don't want to do it. It's just something compelling me to do it. Huh? It said this, you must do this. Go to what? But so I've been keeping, I don't even, you know what? I feel like since tomorrow's Elon Musk's birthday, his breath day, I'm gonna call it a birth. You don't, I don't know if he's breathing real air or not. Uh, According to the mind games he playing with the people. I said I was gonna do something and give all the attention to it, but I think I don't even want to give it any attention. It's just 666. Is he gonna wait on the Big Bang? What do they have planned? Whatever they doing, they're gonna make sure. Modi said everybody needs to be connected. Everybody. You don't, not one person, even the little babies are gonna have headsets. Everybody, so we got Pampers that will have uh internet connection, t-shirts and jerseys, like somebody said, I'm stop mentioning names. That seems to be a problem now. Jerseys will have internet connection. Ankle bracelets have internet connection. They've been doing that. That ain't brand new. Talking about the NBA ankle bracelets. The trial started when they started putting ankle bracelets on in the 90s, 80s, like 88, 89. That's when they put computer GPS. That was the first best use of GPS. Huh? Well, Modi said everybody needs to be connected. Can you hear me? And I'm going to read a little bit about what he left with him and Biden got going on. It just seems like a deja vu, though. It seems like it because I saw beads. Oh, that's in the CHIPS Act when I kept going over the CHIPS Act last year. And I was saying how the CHIPS Act and all this, okay, 40 billion. He's spending more on making sure everybody connected, even the itty bitty babies. The cats, your cats and dogs are connected. Everybody is connected, huh? Through beads. What is the importance of beads in Hinduism? Oh, I was checking out something in China. It was something, some type of biotech program that I was reading about yesterday. And their main um, pillar is that they are proud as Asians to know that their blood is Hindi. I'm not joking. I'm not making it up. As a matter of fact, I found it through going through Google, doing Google research, and it's the highest, the second highest company next to Google. It's HH. They have a DNA code in their advertisement about being the connection of the bloodlines. Okay. What is the beads? I know I'm all over the place. The beads are called Japamala. So look, Kamala, Japan, the connection. You know what? Red Squid X probably went over this already. I just missed it. I'm telling you. But these beads right here is what Modi left. Modi came over and left, and I'm gonna read about the beads. If I don't finish this today, I'll finish it tomorrow. I don't know if I should read about the beads first or should I read about this internet connection of over $40 billion. 40 billion. He's spending more on internet than he's spending on food for the people. He said y'all could get food from Turkey and Ukraine. We gonna make sure y'all get food from Turkey and Ukraine. And we gonna make sure you have landfill fresh food from the landfills like China Ty said at the climate control baptism at the river in California. Huh? She said y'all are gonna have fresh landfill food. Huh? And I still to this day don't know any other definition of what landfill means besides them smelly high hills or mounds. You let's call them mounds. Garbage mounds. Huh? They spending more money on your internet to make sure everyone get it, but you still gonna have to pay, right? If they spending $40 billion, that mean ain't nobody for to pay for internet service. That gotta be what it mean. Huh? It gotta be, y'all. We getting free internet. They spending $40 billion to make sure that everybody getting it. We ain't gonna have to pay for internet no more. Dang. Let me read it. Let me read it before I start jumping to conclusions. This came out yesterday. This came out yesterday. Fact sheet, and it's on a fact sheet. Y'all know when they do fact check. Word. Fact check, fact check, fact check. Let's do fact check. This is on a fact sheet. Biden Harris administration announces over 40 billion to connect everyone to America to affordable, reliable. They want to connect you with the Devlon being that they rose, the electric being. Huh? The largest internet funding announcement in history kicks off administrative or administration wide investing in America tour. So there's a tour. This tour is like the World Circus, right? Or what is it that they used to do all the time? Not the conventions, the World Fair. So this is a world fair investment. High-speed internet is no longer a luxury. It is necessary for Americans to do their jobs, to participate equally in school, access health care, and to stay connected with family and friends. Yet, more than 8.5 million households and small businesses are in areas where there's no high speed internet infrastructure, and millions more struggle with limited or unreliable internet options. Just like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, rural elect. Wait a minute, Franklin D. Roosevelt middle name was a Spanish name? I didn't know that. I never looked to try to figure out what the D meant. That's why you got to know people's name. What your what your initial mean? The initial. It's the initial. Just like Franklin Delano Roosevelt's rural electric. My bad. I'm trying to see what these acronyms turn out to be. My bad. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Rural Electrification Act. Remember I said this is the electric big. Just like Franklin D. Roosevelt's Rural Electrification Act brought electricity to nearly every home and farm in America, that electrification was for flesh. President Biden and Vice President Kaka, daughter of California, so she's said to be, granddaughter of Ibli, or great great granddaughter of Ibli, and everything else that she claimed and said out loud. They are delivering on their historic commitment to connect everyone in America to reliable. They say, we're not worried about the farm and the land, it's just you. Affordable high speed internet by the end of the decade. When is the decade over? The decade, you sure you know what date it is? Because according to Department of Defense, playbook. According to Commerce, Miss Gina Raimondo and all them, according to all the heads of departments of the world, algorithmic error is in phase 1 through 2. So which month did they put it? How did they switch up the date and make the dates? What kind of calendar are we on? They didn't tell you that the calendar changed, but they're telling you that the calendar changed. They said they're not going to read this big old playbook. It got 999 pages. We're not gonna they're not gonna read the CHIPS Act. It's too many pages, too much small print. So what is the end of the decade to their electrification when we're in phase 1 through 2? According to my government phone, we still in March 2020. If we're in March 2020, according to the government phone, the end of the decade, huh? will be this year. Huh? I'm just saying. My grandson said, yeah, grandma, I hear you over there. I hear you. Huh? You done got up. He said that little cat nap. You better tone it down. He said you better tone it down if you want to keep talking and telling the people to get ready however they want to go. If you want to get on board with Biden Harris, them beads. Why do I keep saying beads? Because in this historic world tour investment that they kicking off, the largest in history. Which history? The beginning of Moses history? The beginning of the world history? Which history? They say in history. In history. This is something that has never, ever, ever, ever happened. And it's about to happen right now. You don't believe? No, they don't believe it's a revelation. You don't have to believe in a biblical revelation. This is just a revelation alone. You don't have to be religious to be a part of what's about to go down. But let me finish. Affordable high-speed internet by the end of the decade, whatever decade it is. Uh-oh, they got a briefing, and she got on black and red. She wearing the same colors I'm wearing today. I'm serious. I got on a red skirt under a black dress with a split that shoulder red. And she's wearing red and black with. I was just going to check my phone to make sure I'm coming in. Okay. Red and black with. Okay, yeah, the White House. You don't have to stay over here and listen to me if somebody's over here listening to me. You could go to White House right now and see what she talking about. The deputy principal secretary. She the oh, they say, Jean, you ain't doing your job. We need the deputy over you to come talk. She said she need a little bit more breathing room. So I clicked it off. She said she need a little bit more breathing room. No, you breath. Modi them trying to take the breath of life, huh? And turn it into electrical Hindu beads, huh? The program is called Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, the BEAD program, out of DC. Since Red Squid X over there talking about DC, right? The grant, they say it's a grant, but it ain't no grant because you gonna have to pay it back with your light. They like to use Ulysses S. Grant, and they talks, but you know ain't nothing in this world for free. Is it? Ain't nothing in this world for free. Today, the Department of Commerce announced funding for each state, territory, and the District of Columbia for high-speed internet infrastructure deployment through broadband equity access. You mean Starlink is complete? That's what they saying. They say 42.48. What those numbers mean? Come on, somebody. All you numerologists out there, 42 and 48. The football, basketball, um, intellectuals that like to break down numbers as part of revelation. What does 42, 48, 42, 48 billion grant program created in the bipartisan infrastructure law and administered by the Department of Commerce? This announcement, the largest internet funding announcement in history, even the announcement is historic. Kicks off the 3-week administration wide investing in America tour. 3 weeks. Okay, I said, okay, I know the 7th. Okay, so putting it at the 3 weeks would put it at the very date of July 12th last year. If you want to play with it, let me see. Let me look at a calendar 3 weeks from today. Today is the 27th. 3 weeks from today, calendar. 3 weeks from today. That got to be my computer. My phone talk about it's a problem. Fix the problem. I'm gonna put not now. What's 3 weeks from today's date? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Fix my calendar. Why my calendar look like this? 3 weeks. One. Wait, where are we? Okay. Okay. One. Independence. And then one, two. Oh, yeah. Looks about right. When that transition happened, July 12th, that put us, and I kept saying, they deleted most of those videos, y'all. They did. I went back to check and try to pull some of them, but I think some of them are still stuck in StreamYard, so I'm going to go and check. But July 12th last year, I have a couple of people who was in, hanging around then that know what I'm saying. And I kept saying, cover your head, so you don't go to sleep. because whatever they gonna do, they gonna try to put everybody to sleep so they don't nobody's really seeing what's coming. I think it was Big O say, see, you had people right to talk about covering their head. And that was the beginning, the 0 point reset from 0 to 1. So this first year celebration will be happening around this week in their big tour. So it's their happy anniversary. They not gonna Independence Day probably be exactly what they needed to be. Just regular, oh, everything fine, y'all. Be happy, celebrate, huh? Watch all the advancements we got going on, huh? We making sure everybody is connected. Not one home, not one phone is not going to be under Starlink. Not one home is going to not be under Shiva and their God. Uh, that's what they saying. But let me continue. You can read it for yourself. Come over to White House briefing. It was on the 26th, which was yesterday. 42.40. Oh, that's 45. My bad. See, 45 billion. Let me blow up this screen. Blow it up. Let me blow it up. Blow it up. Make it bigger. Magnify. 42.45 billion grant program created in the bipartisan infrastructure and administered by the Department of Commerce. So Department of Commerce Secretary, she is over the money and the water. Remember, Biden gave her the power over the maritime, the water. Yeah, he did. It's in one of my videos. If you don't have to believe me, you could go and look. It's somewhere in the White House briefing. All of you have to go through a whole year and a half versus just maybe going through one of my videos that talk about it. This announcement, the largest internet funding announcement in history, kicks off a 3-week administration wide Investing in America tour where President Biden, Vice President Harris, First Lady Jill, cabinet members, and senior administration officials will fan out. They're gonna bring the Jap part. So they got the fan and then they got the beads. The fan out across the country to highlight investments, jobs, and projects made possible by President Biden's economic agenda. So they bringing out the fan. So there's the beads, broadband equity access deployment, and the fan. Among the highlights, awards range from 27 million to over 3.3 billion, with every state receiving a minimum of 107 million. That's for internet over food. – 19 states. It's not about what you're eating and drinking. And you don't have to worry. They're not going to discriminate on the internet. They're not going to discriminate. Everybody getting it because this is where you're not going to be judged no longer by the color of your skin, but by the content of your character. Okay. 19 states received allocations over 1 billion, with the top 10 allocations in Alabama. Remember, I kept saying even some of the tribes. I'm talking about small tribes where North Carolina couldn't get a billion or so. They gave it to small tribes and stuff for communication so they could have their own internet separate broadbands. They don't have to get up under. See, you thinking the whole time it's about the land. When this transition is no longer about the land, it's not about the flesh. It's about your light source. So the whole time, huh? You're talking about, yeah, we won, we got the land, but you got whole tribes knowing that they have to get their own internet service. in order to not be attached, in order to be free. This is through the CHIPS Act. In order for them to be free in their own sovereignty. Their sovereignty comes under the broadband. They don't have to, they have their own communication, just like you have cities and towns that it's their own what you call it, light company, their own power company. And that's what gives them their sovereignty as a municipal or whatever. Well, that's what's going on right here. And under the CHIPS Act law, it again, the sovereignty is not so much about the land. That's why they're now willing to give land away for free. You can have homes. Everybody could get a house now. You could get your acres and a mule. You could get your reparations. I told you. If you think that they giving everybody $1 million in California for reparations, everybody done ran and signed up because you think it's about the land. When you will be a workforce that looks like the America that they wanted to keep looking like, because you're trapped under the Starlink. You're trapped in the bar. The sovereignty, it's a thin line between the land and the broadband. Okay. 19 states receive allocations on allotment, the lots of 1 billion. Alabama, California, Georgia, Louisiana, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, Texas, Virginia, and Washington. And other Biden administration investments, all 50 states and their territories now have resources to connect every resident and small business to reliable, affordable, high-speed internet, high-speed internet by 2030. Details related to the BEAD allocation for the states, DC, and territories, well as there go to as well as the total federal investment in high-speed internet in each state and territory are available here. So then they got a blue link that I'm not going to click right now because I want to get over to the beads. In addition to helping connect everyone in America to high-speed internet, this funding will support manufacturing jobs. Now, the reason why Modi, I keep saying Modi is the electric being. If you go back when I first started following Modi after United States claimed him as the boss, they introduced him in the World Summit thing as the boss. America did, United States did. And then they invited him over here and they did that big shake to do. They did the whole ceremony. They did the luncheon. They did all the ceremonies that they needed. But when he unveiled his temple, and one of the authority figures of that country was saying why the temple unveiled is shaped like a coffin. I didn't get that from nobody in the community or regular. It was one of the high officials that was against this temple or whatever it is that they unveiled, that Modi unveiled, looking like a big coffin. And at the same time, he was just being awarded for being something to do with the electric power. But then they saying the amount of electric power that he needs to run his country ain't even that much. That's according to Elon. But then Elon like kind of worships him. Elon has this thing for him. If Elon is a what you call it, a animated simulated being or not, the video that they showed where Elon was talking about him, Elon looked like a little boy, like about to get some gummy bears or something. I'm serious. That's how I saw it. So the fact that all of this is going forth after he came here and they did all these ceremonies with him, that's how I've come to this conclusion. And for it to be named with the acronyms BEAD, after they said they're raising United States now is under the uh, spirit of Shiva. They said it. I didn't say it. I'm not making it up. The governor of California said it, and then the daughter of California, who Callie Ma claims to be, she said it, not me. I'm not making it up, and it wasn't taken from nobody, no source of no internet, uh, what you call it, creator. It was taken straight from the White House. I didn't go to. That's why I unsubbed from everybody because I get tired of going over to people's pages and then they try to make it seem like, oh, you've been over to they talking about the same thing. I don't get my stuff from them. I go straight to the White House. Every bit of information that I bring, I don't get it from going to somebody and listening. The only person that the people that I stay under and listen to, I see how what they're teaching connects to what I'm reading. And I just had to point that out. When you go straight to the source that's giving you the information, you don't have to be in somebody else's chat taking information from them. They stealing. And for stealing, words and thoughts and imagination can be theft, can be stolen. Then if that's the case, Biden, Biden Balak, well, which I've been calling him. The rabbi put Balak in his title today. And I've been saying the word Balak before I even knew Balak was a real word. That ain't come through me. That came through some higher being. Because I didn't know that word existed. I thought I was making something up. The Balaks. And then when I started investigating, then I realized, oh, it is a word. And I kept doing research. The Balak wells. Huh? The rabbi put Balak in there. Balak wells is committing crimes against humanity. Devlin Musk. He's the dev ops. He's the ops in charge of making sure all this service goes properly with his Starlinks, putting up codes. The shin, he released the dragon, he released the horse. The white horse came through the Satri mission. The red dragon came through the last one. Then you have Kamala Harris saying it out loud. I'm the daughter of Cali. in in the spirit of Ebla, the good Ebla. She said good Ebla. That take that D and flip it. And now they talking about beads and fans. In addition to helping connect everyone in America's high-speed internet, this funding will support manufacturing jobs and crowd in private sector investments by using materials made in America. Oh, now we're going to use materials made in America. For example, anticipating this major investment in high speed, that the company that I was talking about earlier, they're the company that manufactures chips and stuff. It's HH. I can't think of the name of it now, but they're the ones who were saying that they're proud to be having the same blood as Modi them, same DNA. For example, anticipating this major investment in high speed internet infrastructure deployment, earlier this year, fiber optic cable manufacturers CommScope and Corning, CommScope and Corning, I got to look that up, announced 47 million and 500 million expansions of their domestic manufacturing capacity, which will create hundreds of good paying American jobs in North Carolina. These investments are part of nearly 500 billion in private sector manufacturing and clean energy investments spurred by the president's investing in American agenda. The investing in America agenda represents, I just had a thought that North Carolina is going to be one of them places, center points. They changed the grid, so it's not going to be Georgia as a center point, and more than likely in the simulated world, just take it like I'm saying it, don't think disaster, but in the simulated methodology and research and development that they're doing, they would flood out Georgia because North Carolina is going to be the center point, and it's going to be where a lot of s- so-called Aboriginal, indigenous in um, the future would be. This cut that, scratch, take that out, ignore me. Don't. These investments, that's the flesh talking, or trying to talk, or trying to speak. These investments are part of nearly 500 billion in private sector manufacturing and clean energy investments spurred by president's investing in America agenda. The investing in America agenda represents most significant upgrade in our nation's infrastructure in generations, and investing larger than FDR's rural electrification effort. Eisenhower's effort to build the interstate highway system and construction of Panama Canal. Oh, look how they just threw that in here. Let me read that again. The Investing in America agenda represents the most significant upgrade to our nation's infrastructure in generations. An investment larger than FDR's rural electrification effort, Eisenhower's effort to rebuild the interstate highway system, and the construction of Panama Canal. Okay. I might want to look up Panama Canal later. I know Copper Christ was going over it one time. He always talking about trenches and digging and which canals and lakes were real, like not man-made and stuff. So the fact that they just threw that in there, because they could say the construction of Panama Canal, but then Okeechobee was constructed too, according to them and their history, which I sort of kind of don't believe, because I remember when I was younger in our geography classes in the elementary school I went to, we had to draw maps, and we had to not just states, we would do all of the world. And Okeechobee was way bigger and at a different spot on the Florida map from what I remember. It was high, further up, like towards mid of Florida, the middle of Florida, not so as far down as it is now. That's what I remember. But hey, all them different effects of simulated imaging. Anyway, back to Internet for All. Today's announcement of BEAD funds is just one of the component of Biden-Harris administration's efforts to ensure everyone in America has access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet as part of President Biden's Investing in America agenda. In recent weeks, the administration has announced over 700 million in USDA Reconnect awards. Look at all, they got a blue link to all of these. Online for All campaign increase ACP enrollment and visibility. Over 900 million in NTIA middle mile awards. They got still talking about all this money, right? But then I hear him keep talking about down payments and stuff. And then somewhere, I don't know if that was fake news, said they mistakenly sent Ukraine a surplus of money that they didn't mean to send. But I remember, what's her name? Jean talking about they gonna be sending. It was her or Kirby, one of them, talking about they gonna be sending him money every other week or something. So many millions every other week or something. So I don't get it. Beyond bead, billions have already been announced or distributed to all states and territories to build high-speed internet infrastructure by Biden-Harris administration. Did y'all know, with all the train wreckages that they got going on, they got Amtrak going at 110 miles an hour? I used to feel some type of way with the speed that, because I like looking out the window when I used to ride the trains. But I felt some type of way when it's the speed up, however many miles it was going then. I can't see. It's going too fast. I'm trying to enjoy the view. Now they talking about 100, all here, 110 miles an hour. I bet you my mama ain't for to be riding the trains no more. She loved the train too. Huh? That's the sound of the men. That's enough. I'm not gonna read no more of this. I'll come back. Nope, I got to. I got to. I'm just not gonna click all them blue links. Beyond the billions, we have already been announced or distributed to all states and territories to build out high-speed internet infrastructure by Biden-Harris administration. In addition to the bipartisan infrastructure law includes 14.2 billion for the Affordable Connectivity Program, which provides eligible households for up to $30 a month, up to $75 a month. They're going to make sure for the tribal lands, they qualify for $75 a month. Because remember, I told you, they got their own internet services, their own communication teleprograms that they don't have to connect to Starlink. They sovereign with their internet service. Yeah, it's about the land. Up to $75 a month and off their internet bill, and as well as a one-time $100 toward a desktop. They've said everybody getting it. This is different when they switched over, remember, and they had the converter. Everybody gets a converter and you get $10 off. And if your children in school, you get a nah. We want to make sure that when we beam you up, everybody get me. So I don't know if y'all want to go look and try to take advantage. You could go ahead if you want to. Uh, you could get $30 a month off your bill. You could get $100 towards a desktop. Hey, ask them if any of you in the past write a letter. Say, look, I bought a computer and I had a computer sent to me just a week ago. Can I get a discount off of that? Can I get the $100 off of my investment? Thanks to the commitments by over 20 internet service providers, millions of Americans are using affordable connectivity program to access internet for free. Today, 19 million Americans are enrolled in this program. Households can check for their eligibility and sign up at getinternet.gov. Huh? I'm advertising. It sounds like I'm advertising for them, and I'm not. I just let me see. Is this the Getty? It says Get Internet. Look, it's Getty, Geti, the Getty Hub. In other words, it's the Getty Hub. Really, literally, Get, capital G, Eddie, get ready, SETI, GET, They still had to put GE in the beginning. You bring good things to living, we bring good things to life. Y'all remember that commercial? They still had to put General Electric in the beginning, though. Getinternet.gov. 2.7 billion for digitally equity, the Digital Equity Act, the DEA. The DEA is gonna be in your home 24/7, huh? You don't want to even hear the DA, DEA. You don't want to hear them acronyms. Soon as you hear it, you think, "Oh, is it a crime?" Well, Digital Equity Act, which provides grants to ensure communities have skills and support needed to take advantage of the high-speed internet connections. Huh? Everybody is going to be straight. An additional 2 billion, the 2 billion for the tribals, the tribal connectivity program getting 2 billion in addition, because they got to run the, what you call it, the virtual, what do you call it, casinos, because they're sovereign. In La La Land, when you put the Provision headset on and they say, you could go and take a break, and you decide you want to take a break in your headset and go to the casino. If you're not sovereign, you won't be able to just up and start a running casino on your own. You have to have sovereign internet connectivity service. In addition, don't act like I'm being arrogant or nothing. See, that's what I hate. Because all last year when I kept saying chips out, 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 and nobody want to push me forward. They pretend they pushing you forward because you'll have somebody get up and push somebody else saying it, but they ain't saying it the way that I was saying it. I'm saying, look, this revelation, this is titty. Nah. It's good now. Don't worry about it. It couldn't be stopped anyway. It don't matter if I said it sideways, blue ways, Blu-rays, if I mumbled it, if I sang it, if I danced. No matter how I said, I wasn't gonna get heard anyway, huh? Because this was just for entertainment purposes for me, I guess, huh? To get me to the point where I'm gonna be able to walk in a Jewish temple, uh, a Jewish synagogue, huh? Because I don't want to be a part of this. I'm saying no. My grandson said, "That's enough, Grandma. I'm up." You ready? You ready, Seti? Huh? You ready? All right. I'll come back later because I want to go over the beads. You know how I do. I'll probably come back later and talk about something else, but I really, really, really want to make this connection to John Paula. What was the John Paula? John Paula beads, early attestations, the origins of the beads. We are under Shiva. I didn't say it. I'm not making it up. They said it. Biden Harris administration said, we welcome you to the spirit of Shiva. Greater light.
yourselves comfortable, everybody. There's one source sheet. אתה יכול לעשות את זה בחדר אחר? תודה רבה. It's on the beamer, one source sheet. If you want a cup of coffee or tea or water, or shtickle mazonis or some fruits in the back, please serve yourself. Soup too, cholent Tuesday morning. You want some cholent? When should you have cholent? Shabbos? Tuesday, no? I'll make a coffee. Yeah, but I don't know how. Mrs. Klein usually does it. Maybe get a hot cup of water. Huh? Make yourselves comfortable, please. Bevakasha, bevakasha. Okay, wonderful. So welcome, everybody. There's one source sheet on the bima. No more left? Okay. So please find a friend and look with them. I did ask him to make more. I hope we'll have a delivery in a few moments. Let me just remind him. Okay, today's class is dedicated in honor of Rabbi Yitzchak ben Esther for Refuah Shleiman or Refuah Krova, a complete and speedy recovery and Arichas Yamim for Shanim Tovus with all the blessings, B'Tov HaNira v'Anigla. Thank you very much, and a complete recovery at Refuah Krova. The first parsha that we read this week is Parshas Chukas. As I said last week, in Yiddishkeit and Torah, names are very crucial because they capture the inner theme of the person or the parsha or the thing or the idea that is given the name. As it says in Svarim, that the channels of energy come through a name. The same is true with the name of a portion, Chukas. The word Chukas, as commentators explain, is the concept of a chayk, which means a law, a statute, but a specific, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. A specific type of law, zois chukas haTorah, which has an element of mystery to it, or maybe much of it is mysterious. And I find it very powerful that this is the name of the parsha, because essentially the week is a week of mystery. It's a week of chukas. It's a portion filled with mystery. It's named, of course, after the opening mitzvah of the parsha, which is a most confounding mystery in Judaism, that even Shlomo HaMelech, considered the wisest of all people, said, Amarti achakma v'hi rechoka mimeni. I said to myself, I was a wise person, and yet this remained distant from me. And he was referring to the mysteries of the Parah Aduma, of the red heifer, which purifies a human being or a vessel that was contaminated by contact with death. So even Shlomo HaMelech, throws up his hands and feels that he can't really master the depth of this mitzvah, of this ritual, because ashes of a red cow mixed with spring water and a hyssop plant that's used to sprinkle it on the person. What is the real meaning of this? So the Medrash says on it, Zois chukas haTorah chuka chakakti. Chuka chakakti means I decreed a decree. The word chakakti is also engraving, like lachkoik. In other words, logic will not lead me to my destination here, because cerebral analysis has its place and has its virtues, of course, and is a tremendous gift, but also it has its limits. Some things are mysteries. But as you continue the parsha, the mysteries only become stronger and deeper, which would explain, of course, why Parah Aduma made its way into the beginning of Chukas. Really, the laws of cleansing and purity and impurity are all in Sefer Vayikra. So you would expect the laws of Parah Aduma also to be in Sefer Vayikra, particularly in Parshas Emor or Tazria, Metzora. That's the parshas of purity and impurity. But this exists in Parshas Chukas. The answer is because it comes as a prelude to everything that happens after that. Right after the story of Parah Aduma, Miriam passes away. After that, there's the story of Moshe and Aaron, who will experience a decree that they too will pass away in the desert after Miriam, and they also won't go into Eretz Yisrael. So we encounter yet a greater mystery, Miriam's death, and then we encounter the greatest mystery of all, and that is the story of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and the rock. So let's remember the context. Miriam, Moshe's older sister, passed away. As long as she lived, the Jews had water. They drank from a miraculous well that gave forth water. In her merit, we call it Be'er Shel Miriam. Now the water has dried up. The people are thirsty. They gather around Moshe and Aaron. They clamor to Moshe and Aaron, asking them to irrigate them. They need water to drink for themselves and, of course, their children and their livestock. Moshe and Aaron turn to Hashem for direction. When you're reading the story, it seems like a very sweet story. It's deja vu all over again, as they say. In the desert, it's not the first time they're missing water or they're missing food or they're missing something else. They come to Moshe, they complain, they lament. Moshe goes to the Creator, and there's a solution. And what do they say? All is well that ends well. This seems like one of those stories that's going to end very well. But suddenly it takes a very strange turn, and I use the word mysterious turn. So if you look in your source sheets, if you didn't get a source sheet, there's more on the bima. It's one page. You have here the story in Parshas Chukas, Perek Chaf, beginning with Pasuk Vav. That's Bamidbar, chapter 20, beginning with verse 6 through 13. Not many verses, but it contains probably the most, or one of the most mysterious stories in Chumash. So the people are begging for water, they're pleading for water, they don't want to die in the desert. There's obviously no natural sources of water in this wilderness. So what happens? So Moshe and Aaron go away from the congregation. They go to the door, to the entrance of the Oyel Moed, of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary. They fall on their face. Hashem's glory appears to them. Hashem tells Moshe, Cacas hamata v'hakel l'seid da'atav Aaron achicha v'dibarta l'asela le'ineyim v'nosan meimav v'hitzesa le'hamayim in asela v'ishkisa es ha'eda v'es be'ira. Take the staff, gather the people, gather the community, you and Aaron, your brother, and in front of them speak to the rock, and it will yield water. It will produce its water, and you will bring forth for them water from the rock, for them and all of their animals, all of their livestock. Moshe indeed takes the stick from Hashem as he commanded by Akilu Moshe V'Aaron al Akol Esakol El Pnei Asala V'Yomelem Shimuna Amorim Amin Asala Azanoitzi L'Chamayim. They gather the people to the rock and they say, "Listen, O rebels, shall we bring forth water from this rock?" Moshe raises his hand, he strikes the rock twice with his stick, and the water gushes forth in abundance, and everyone drinks. The people drink, and the animals drink, the beasts drink, everybody drinks. At this point, it seems like a very beautiful story, doesn't it? I'm laughing just because how strange it is. If you would stop here, you wouldn't read anymore. It's a very beautiful story. Everybody was thirsty. Miriam passed away. There was no more water. You would think you would have a colossal tragedy of a few million people dying from thirst. Hashem once again comes through Moshe Rabbeinu, and the stick somehow strikes a rock, and water comes out, mayim rabim, in abundance. There's no shortage. Nobody has to fight for it. Nobody has to clamor for it. There's absolutely no shortage of any water, and everyone is satisfied. The animals have enough to drink. Lahavdil, the human beings have enough to drink. Altus git. Everything is perfect. It was a grand miracle. You could take sticks from today till tomorrow and strike as many rocks as you want. I don't think you'll produce water, and even if you'll somehow find a rock that has a few drops of water, I don't know how you're going to produce water for a few million people. What happens next shocked everybody. Until today, we read it and we scratch our heads. What's the next scene? Vayomer Hashem al Moshe v'Aaron. Yan lo yamantem bi lagdisheni leinu b'nei Yisrael l'chein lo yisaviu asakol hazeh el oretz asher nasati lahem. Hashem responds very differently. He says, since you did not believe in me to sanctify me before the eyes of all of the Jewish people, you will not bring them into the land that I have given to them. And the Torah concludes the story like as a postscript, as a summation. These are called the waters of Meriva, the waters of quarreling, the waters of fighting. Meriva is like a fight. The waters of fight with which the Jewish people are fighting with God, and he was sanctified through them. And that's the end of the story. Indeed, later in Parshas Chukas, Aaron will pass away, as Hashem told Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu will actually pass away only at the end of Chumash, But the decree for him to die happens in Parshas Chukas. So from the mystery of the red heifer, we get to the death of Miriam, and then to the story of the rock, and to the death of Aaron. So indeed, it's a parsha of mystery. But the question we want to address today is the famous question. Everything seems good. The people needed water. Moshe gave them water. The people are happy. It's the end of the story. But apparently something terrible has happened. The weather has changed abruptly. And Moshe and Aaron are denied the privilege they yearned for their entire life, which is to go into the promised land. In fact, the objective of taking the Jews out of Egypt initially was to go into Eretz Yisrael and to establish a society as Hashem envisioned in Eretz Yisrael. So for Moshe Rabbeinu, this was not just a small punishment. It was a colossal disappointment, which really denied him from something he was yearning and pining for 40 years, to the point that we see that he does not cease to plead and pray for the annulment of this decree. Later in Parshas Veschanan, he will say, Veschanan al Hashem, I pleaded with Hashem to allow me to go in. And Chazal say Veschanan is the numerology of 515, that he composed 515 tefillas, prayers, just to go into Yisrael, to the point that Hashem said, stop already. Ravlach, stop. Don't talk to me about this anymore. And until the last moment, he would not stop. Right. Even if there was something wrong that happened here, the punishment seems so disproportionate. Usually the concept of a punishment is proportionate with an action. Everybody understands that. And here it seems so out of the blue. It's like you're not expecting this. Like there's other stories with Moshe. Here suddenly, boom, he struck the rock, water came out. Okay, you're not going into Eretz Yisrael. It's so strange that when you read it on a literal level, you're just scratching your head like, what happened? What is going on? What's the connection with going into Eretz Yisrael, not going to Eretz Yisrael? There were so many interpretations given to this story that I once saw a commentator, his name is Shmuel David Lutzato, and he writes, he says, Poor Moshe Rabbeinu, because every commentator gives another explanation for what he did. So he says he did one sin, but if you read the commentators, he did like 13 of them, because everybody has a different interpretation. Rashi has his explanation, the Ramban has his explanation, Chaim has his explanation, the Rambam has his explanation. Klei Yakar has his explanation, the Sefarno has his explanation, the Abarbanel has, every Mefarish has another explanation. The Sefer Shari Aaron, he collected 25 different sins that Moshe Rabbeinu did according to different Mefarshim. And the truth is, if you gather all the explanations that have been said on this, you will probably find a few hundred different explanations. So this man says, poor Moshe, he made one mistake and it became 500 mistakes because everyone doesn't know what the mistake is. So they impose another mistake on him. It's fascinating, right? Man did one thing, whatever that thing is, nobody knows what it is. Everybody has to find another explanation. This one says Moshe got angry. This one says Moshe called the Jews rebels. Rashi says he hit the rock and didn't speak to the rock. The Abarbanel says it wasn't about this. It was about sending the spies. This was just this was just like, a pretext, a cover up. Everyone has a different interpretation. That's why it's in Chukas. Very good. That's what I'm getting at. That was the introduction I was giving to the class was part of this. It wasn't just stop. That's why it's really in Chukas. It's really in Chukas, and the name is Chukas because just like the Parah Aduma, even Shlomo HaMelech said, Amarti Achakma, I tried to understand, every part of Parshas Chukas is part of that mystery. It's part of the Parah Aduma mystery, which has to do with death, of course. Parah Aduma is all about death. It's the concept of cleansing a person from contact with death. But what does that mean on a deeper level? It's not just a technical thing. Somebody touched corpse and they're tameh. So if I'm a Kayan, I can't eat holy food. If I'm a Yisrael, I can't go into the Beis HaMikdash. I can't eat karbanos. That's all true, of course. But it's also the concept of contact with death, not just physically, emotionally, psychologically. Can a person be purified after they have contact with death? In simple English, is there recovery after loss? Is there healing after loss? So we say life goes on. Life has to go on. What should we do? But the question is, can it never be the same? Is there real Tara? Of course, people move on and, we have to live and eat and breathe and wake up in the morning. But the question is, at what price? What does it do to a person? How does one deal with it? How does one react to it? How does one recover from loss? That's the question of Paraduma. It's not just a ritualistic question about sprinkling the ashes in the water. What is the mechanism in the Bria, in creation, and in Torah to be able to heal from such pain, from such loss, especially when it's so mysterious and unfathomable? And after thousands of years of explanations, everybody knows there's no settling information that you hear and say, geschmack, mechaya. With all the insights and beautiful insights and powerful insights and deep insights, there remains an element of chukas, of mystery. There's something mysterious about pain. And Moshe Rabbeinu's story with the rock goes right into that category because it actually touches the core of what happens with Paraduma. And we want to explore today. Other years we spoke about the story from different angles and different perspectives because the story has so many layers and different interpretations. And like everything in Torah, they're all true. Shivim panim l'Torah, there's 70 faces to the Torah, and every face is a real face, but it's a different face. And the Arizal says that every pasuk has 600,000 different interpretations. And that's in Pshat and in Remez and in Drush and in Sod. So figure out, that's a few million interpretations because he says every soul has its own interpretation. And there's 600,000 souls. So they're not contradictory to each other. It's just the fact that, from the source of light, there are many different frequencies of light and they're all authentic. Today we want to explore one aspect. And as we will see, as it turns out, Moshe didn't lose the plot. The Rebbeinu Shalom and Chas v'Shalom lose the plot. But rather, Moshe knew exactly what he was doing. Hashem knew exactly what he was doing. When Moshe hit the rock and didn't speak to the rock, Hashem said, speak to the rock. He hit the rock. He was initiating a shift in consciousness, a shift in history, a shift in paradigm, a new direction for the Jewish people and for history. And Hashem's decision was not a punishment, as we would usually a punishment. You didn't listen to me, and I'm going to penalize you so that everybody learns a lesson and that you learn a lesson. But rather, it was a consequence of the reality that Moshe introduced at that moment. In order to appreciate this, let's study a piece of Zohar, which says something very strange about this whole story, and it right away shows us a different dimension to the story. I just have to say one thing. At the end of this class, it's all still going to remain a mystery. But, so why am I giving a class? I could have just said it's a mystery. You'll see why. Okay. One of the 600,000 interpretations, yes. But a very profound one. I find a very profound one. So you see your second source, Tikkunei Zohar, Tikkun Chaf Aleph. Tikkunei Zohar is a sefer that is exclusively written as a commentary on one word, Bereshis. It has 70 different interpretations on the word Bereshis, because Bereshis has many different configurations. It's a big sefer, it's a whole section of Zohar, and each interpretation occupies many pages. So this is Tikkun Chaf Aleph, in the middle of the 21st interpretation on Bereshis. There's a sefer called Megala Amukais. We're going to just quote him soon. He wrote a sefer, a huge, a very thick book on the word Va'eschanan. The word Va'eschanan. I believe 176 or so interpretations of Va'eschanan. And each one is a whole interpretation. So it's the beginning of 600,000. So let's see what the Zohar says. I'm going to translate. Imla de Machabe. If Moshe would have not struck the rock, Macha in Aramaic is strike, hit. Lo have a Tarchin Yisrael v'Tanoim v'Ameroyim ba'iraisa de Balpeh de Isal. None of the Jews and none of the Tanoim, none of the Talmudic sages would have to toil in the study of Torah, which is compared to a rock. Hashem said, speak to the rock, and it's just going to flow. The water is going to flow without exertion, without tircha, without bother. Speak to the rock, rock representing the Torah. That's what the Zohar says. V'nosan meimav. That's the word, v'nosan. Hashem said it will give its water. It will give like when you give freely, benevolently, generously, with ease, without a burden, without intensity, without complexity, without tercha. Yirmiyah says there'll be a day nobody will teach anybody else, because everybody will know, from small to great, from small to big, young to old. The Navi Yirmiyah says in chapter 31, nobody will have to teach anybody, because everyone will have intuitively and instinctively and deeply the ultimate knowledge, the ultimate awareness. The water would come out without questions, without debates. Imagine Jewish life, what Jewish life would look like. No questions. What are we going to do all day? No machlokes, no disputes, upsak, and therefore no need for verdicts. Begin the shchinta the itmar b'haloi koi dvarai ka'esh nu'um Hashem havashari b'pumayin di Yisrael. The pasuk says in Yirmiyah also, Yirmiyah chapter 23, my words are like fire. Haloi koi dvarai ka'esh nu'um Hashem. My words are like fire, Hashem says. And then he continues, kepatish yefoites sela, like a hammer which splinters a rock. But in the beginning, my words are like fire. And this would have been in the mouth of all the Jewish people. The oiraisa de balpeh. My words refer to the oral Torah. The ihi sela. All samach the inun shitin mesichtas the achi sela all samach. The word sela is a combination of two words. Samach. Samach is 60. And all in Aramaic means to enter, to go in. So sela is all samach. There are 60 mesichtas. There are 60 tractates in Shas. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, who edited Torah Sheba'al Peh for the first time. Till his time, nothing was really written down. People could take notes, but the tradition of Torah was given over verbally and orally from teachers to students. You had the text of Tanakh, but that was it. That was it. So the transmission of Judaism was all live. It was master to teacher. What that did was, it did a few amazing things. Number one, there was an interaction between teachers and students that was essential, because without that live interaction, there was nothing left. There were no books, there were no texts. It also gave responsibility to the teacher and the student on another level, because I knew that if I don't transmit it, it's all going to be forgotten. If I'm a teacher, I am a student. It also allowed people to ask all their questions, books. Now I have to struggle with the text, but if my teacher is there, I could speak to him. So that's Torah Sheba'al Peh. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi was the first one to put it on paper. This is in the 2nd century after the Common Era, around 150 years after the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash, because he realized that the Jewish people are not in a position where they're going to be able to maintain that type of pedagogical communication, because the dispersion was so dramatic and so intense and so fast. So that fabric, that essential makeup of Jewish civilization is disintegrating, and we're going to be left with nothing. So he decided, let's better have it on the text. The Gemara says on this that he employed the pasuk, Eis latzis lashem, heiferu teirasecha. Sometimes you have to do something for God and annul the Torah, because Hashem says you're not supposed to write down Torah Sheba'al Peh. But Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said, I'm going to disobey in order to write it down. And he wrote down the Mishnah. And it's basically 60 tractates. He made it into 6 sections. Zroyim, Moyed, Nashim, Nezikin, Kachim, Taras. Zroyim is agriculture. Moyed is times, anything connected to time. Nashim is anything connected to relationships, marriages, etc. Nezikin are civil damages. Kach and relations between people, civil law. Partners, damages, neighbors, etc., business issues. And then you have kachim, which are all the laws of karbanos and of food, and taharais, which are the laws of purity and impurity. Those 6 sections, each one contains many tractates. Together, samach mesechtas. So all samach means to go into the 60. So this rock was supposed to give its water freely. But then Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock. And the Zohar says everything changed. Now the water is not coming out freely anymore. Now you have to extract the water. Now there's debates. What does the water mean? You say this is the water. I say this is the water. You say this is kerosene. I say it's water. You say it's dirty water. I say it's clean water. The water is not coming out easily. That's why when Moshe hits the rock, it says Vayetzu mayim rabim. Doesn't even nosan imov. It will give its water. Water came out in its intensity. This also fits with the next source. The Gemara says about Bekama, page 82. The Navi Yeshaya says, whoa, everyone who's thirsty, go drink water. What is he referring to? We need Isaiah, the prophet, to tell us that if we're thirsty, we should drink water. Is that what Yeshaya Navi really? People didn't know that if they're thirsty, they should drink water. It's like, when a woman tells her husband, I'm so hungry, and he says, so go eat. You think your wife doesn't know that when she's hungry, she's supposed to eat? Like, I'm thirsty, so go drink. Wow, that's brilliant. You should get the Nobel Prize for that. Gezai Masber, that is not the issue. I know that I have to eat. That's not the issue. What the issue is, I don't know. But, now you sound like, I hear you. So what's that? So the Gemara says, Ein mayim ela Torah. Darsh Rishuma said Yeshaya Navi is using mayim as a metaphor. So here we see it also in the Zohar. The water coming out of the rock, Sel Ayin, is the water of Torah. Hashem told him, speak to the rock, and Moshe Rabbeinu struck the rock. So all machloikas comes from that moment, and all the toil and exertion to understand what it means, layers and layers and layers, like a rock, layers and layers, exterior, interior, happens at that moment. Now, this explains another fascinating thing. And that is, if you look in your next source, it comes from Yalkut Shemaini, which is the Medrash. It says, V'dibartem al asela, shnei alav perik echad v'moitzi mayim min asela. Hashem told Moshe, speak to the rock and teach on it one chapter of Torah, and it will bring forth water. What does it mean, teach one chapter of Torah? Which chapter was offered, what its basic laws were? Why do we say that before davening? So the Beis Yosef writes in Arachayim Simenon, he quotes the Ra. The reason is because it's the one chapter in Mishnayos that has no arguments. One chapter that has no debates. You read Ezel Mekayim, and usually every chapter Mishnayos, already the first one, there's a debate. Chachamim, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Gamliel, there's always debates. That's one chapter that the tradition from Moshe came clearly down through the generations. Nobody had any argument. So before we start davening, we say that chapter. It's fascinating. So he says, that's Shnei Alav Perik Echad. Read that one chapter of Ezel Mekayman, which has no machlikas. Because as the Zohar says, it would have spoke to the rock. It would have just given out the water. Yet what happened? Dvarai ka'esh. Hashem said, my words are like fire. The pasuk is kepatish yefayz itzela, like a hammer which splinters a rock. When Moshe took his stick and he struck the rock, water came out. A lot of water came out. But it's like the rock was splintered into different dimensions. So it's like sparks go out from all the places. In fact, the Megala Amukas writes, Reb Nosson Shapiro, that patish is the same gematria like mate Moshe. The stick of Moshe is the same numerical value, like the word patish, which means a hammer. Kepatish, the pasuk says there, like kepatish, that was like a hammer. You fight it splinters the rock, and the water comes out from different directions and different layers, and therefore there is machloikas, there's arguments, and the main thing is there's toil, there's exertion. It's not easy to access it all. This explains why the Torah says, Hema mei meriva. It's the waters of fighting. Why is it the waters of fighting? There was no fight here. You say, well, the Jews complained about water. Okay, they complained about water. They complained about everything. They still complain. People complain. Why are these waters called mei meriva? The waters of quarreling. There was no huge fight here. They complained. Moshe went to the Mishkan. Hashem told them what to do. But that's the name, mei meriva. The answer is because these waters caused the whole concept of meriva. They were the waters that created a lack of clarity. And therefore, there is debate, there are disputes, like the Zohar says, there's machloikas, there's tircha. I have to exert myself to find the meaning, to find the depth, and there's so many different perspectives and different issues. It's a different type of sela. In fact, there's a fascinating and very mysterious interpretation in the Zohar. Hashem told him to speak to the rock. It says Moshe struck the rock pa'amayim, twice. Like we just learned, Vayach Moshe, Vayachas haselav Mateu pa'amayim, twice. So the first time didn't work. So there was striking, and there was more striking. And in Tehillim it says, Hein hikad sur vayazuvu mayim, vayazuvu. The word is vayazuvu. So the Medrash says, the Zohar says, Ein ziva el adam. We have in Chumash a zav and a ziva. A zava, it's a form of blood that gets emitted. It's different than, there's dam nida and dam ziva. You have to know how to distinguish. Today we have a hard time distinguishing. But in Allah it says, vayazuvu mayim. So he says the first time he struck, blood came out of the rock. Which only extends and expands the mystery. Where does blood come into here? What is the Zohar teaching us? And of course the big question is, why would Moshe do any of this? We all know that people have different temptations. I never heard of a temptation. Instead of speaking to a rock, you're going to hit a rock. It's like, no, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm going to hit the rock. Besides, between you and me, I think that hitting a rock and producing water is as miraculous as speaking to a rock and hitting water, producing water. It's maybe a little harder, but it's also it's a grand miracle. If water, ein mayim el Torah, if water represents wisdom and inspiration, the Jewish people come to Moshe and they're asking him for water. They're asking him for physical water, but they're asking him, as the Gemara says also, for spiritual water, emotional water, psychological water. Water is the staple of life. We begin our existence in water, nourished in water. Every fetus develops, I don't know if to elaborate about this in this class, but every fetus develops in an amniotic sac, submerged in a mikveh, submerged in water for 9 months. Our bodies can't live without water. Our world, our earth can't live without water. In fact, water constitutes 70% of the total mass of every cell. So if you have trillions of cells in your body, and you do, probably between 50 and 100 trillion cells, 70% of the mass of each and every cell consists of water, right? We have some scientists here in the audience. Did I get my numbers right? I believe that's what it is. In fact, I think it's around 65% of our body that is made up of water. It's around 70% of water that covers the surface of the earth, right? Like Chazal say, 2/3 water and 1/3 dry land. So water is not just a nice thing, it's essential to life. Nobody and nothing can live without water. Not an animal, and not a human being, and not a plant. We all depend and live on water. Everybody needs water. Again, there's physical water, but everybody also needs water. A person needs inspiration, wisdom, perspective, enlightenment, and water is fresh. Water is alive. In the Parah Adumah we have Mayim Chayim. There's different types of water. There's water of life, living water. And that's why when Rabbi Akiva was confronted by the person who told him, "Why are you teaching Torah?" during the times of the Roman edict not to teach, Rabbi Akiva's famous metaphor in Tractate Brachas, page 61, is the fish in the water. The fox who was hungry, and he told the fish to come out of the water, and the fish said, "They say you're smart. I don't know how, but this is ridiculous. We are so threatened inside of the water from all the fishermen who want to catch the fish. Now you want us to go out of water? It's a certain death." So Rabbi Akiva again was comparing water not just as a physical source of life, but also as an emotional and spiritual source of life. But how do I get this water? There is speaking to a rock, and there is hitting a rock. And it's a completely different type of water. And Moshe chose at that moment not to speak to the rock. He chose to strike the rock. And when he strikes the rock, our sages tell us something fundamentally changed. It's not the same water that they got. They got a different type of water. And as a result of this type of water, everything changed. Or as the way the Zohar puts it, if he spoke to the rock, all the debates wouldn't exist. Exertion and learning wouldn't exist. And nobody would even need somebody else as a teacher. Why? Because I would have that inner awareness directly from inside, intimately. The splintering of the information causes a whole different type of reality, where there's exertion, where there's debate. What does all of this mean? Words, by definition, contain and capture an external dimension of a person's life. Think about it. If somebody were to ask you to talk about the weather, to talk about summer plans, to talk maybe about politics or making a Sheva Brachas, to talk about exterior design or interior design, to talk about concepts you're comfortable with or you know about, so people can talk about things for hours. If somebody comes over to you and says, can you describe to me your innermost self? Can you describe to me your core? Can you describe to me your three profoundest emotions? Even if you're ready to be honest with the person, you'll see most people will struggle to find the words. Why? Some people could talk about sports or politics for 8 hours without stopping. There's rabbis who give sermons and they go and go and go and go and go and go and go. Look who's talking. Somebody once introduced a speaker. He said, this speaker doesn't need an introduction. He needs an ending. Meret and ret and ret and ret and ret and ret nonstop. Suddenly I ask a person, okay, so tell me, what is the deepest part of your life? What makes you tick?